Atomfall was one of the more interesting games from the Xbox showcase. It's always nice to see developers try out new locations for their survival games. In this case, Atomfall is set in post-war Britain and falls into the single-player survival action game category. The studio behind this title is Rebellion, who also made games like the Sniper Elite series, so your eyes are not tricking you if you see certain resemblances. Now I'd say let's start with the first reason why Atomfall is an interesting game to begin with, and that is the story, or the general setting, really. Because the story is inspired by real-world events, particularly the 1957 fire at the Windscale nuclear site in northern England. So the game is set 5 years after a fictional disaster, which has led to the creation of a quarantine zone in the Lake District. We are going to explore a seemingly idyllic British countryside that has been transformed by the disaster. There are classic British elements like pubs, red phone boxes, and villages. The ultimate goal seems to be uncovering the mystery surrounding the disaster by interacting with various factions and cults within the quarantine zone. The army, known as Protocol, has officially been sent in to maintain the quarantine, but their motives and actions may not be entirely limited to that. Survival is a key aspect, with players needing to hunt and scavenge for food, the good old crafting materials, weapons, ammunition and the like. For this they have implemented a metal detector that's gonna prove as a valuable tool for finding these, but could also be used to uncover other secrets. It certainly looks to be a central gameplay element here. We don't know that much about combat, to be honest, but it's pretty clear that it involves a range of weapons like pistols, SMGs, bows and arrows, and melee weapons like cricket bats. What we do know is that they plan to make ammunition pretty scarce. On top of dealing with the military faction, there are also bandit factions and robots that once belonged to the British Atomic Research Division before everything went south. They were responsible for managing the nuclear reactor. In present times, however, Protocol are using all the resources at their disposal to maintain the quarantine, and that includes scavenging equipment from B.A.R.D. Now, I don't want to sound blunt, but one thing that tempers my expectations a bit is that even though the release date is sometime in 2025, it is still being developed for last-gen consoles. So developing this while having to keep the limited capabilities of PlayStation 4 and Xbox Series S in mind could hold back a lot of its potential. I'm not sure if it's reasonable to still develop these games for older generations and when it's time to leave them behind, but it's worth to keep that in mind when setting expectations. We don't know much more at the moment, but I will provide an update once we have some actual gameplay.